Hey guys, welcome back to another Tumbler tutorial. Today we're going to be working on this neon Halloween tumbler. This is just a quick and easy tumbler. I got these glitters from Rae Creations, and I had this vinyl from BAMF Custom Creations for, I don't know, maybe a year or two, and I've always wanted to use it, but as soon as I got this top glitter in from Rae, I was like, you know what? I already know what I'm putting this with. So we're going to be working with some new glitters today. Some newish vinyl that's not actually new. So if you stick around, I will show you how to do it. We're going to start off by sanding and wiping down our tumbler with 91% rubbing alcohol to get rid of any of that dust. And then we're going to go in to see how much of this vinyl that we want to show on the tumbler. This is completely personal preference. If you want to do it half and half, a little bit, a lot, the whole thing, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. And I went just about halfway with the vinyl on the bottom. I tried to cut it so most of the images on the vinyl showed. I didn't want to cut anything off too much. I'm just going to mark a spot where I want to create my straight line, and then we'll go ahead and start glittering. This line that I'm creating, while it's obviously a stark contrast to the white, will not show because I'm going to cover it with a vinyl stripe. If you are marking your tumbler off and you're planning to use like a semi-transparent vinyl underneath, or over top of it, I would not recommend using a pen or anything like that because it's definitely going to show through. So we're just going to start out with the epoxy method, and you'll see me using two different glitters here. You do not have to use two different glitters. I just got them both in my new glitter shipment and I wanted to try them both out. And so I tried one on the top, one on the bottom, but you can't tell once the vinyl's over top of it that they're two separate glitters. So we're just gonna go in with Carnation. This is a kind of chunky-ish glitter. And then I'm gonna lightly sprinkle that over and fill that in with some finer glitter. And I'm not putting it at the bottom because I don't want any chunky bits at the bottom to prevent a smooth coat. And then this is going to be Snowbird from Peachy Olive Glitters, and we're just filling any gaps in that didn't get covered by the Carnation on that first round. Next, we're gonna go in with Ice Ice Baby. This is kind of a iridescent. It's got some silvers in it. It's got some opals. It's got some neons. They're kind of like pastel-y neons. I don't even know. They're not even full-blown neons, but it's so pretty. I love this glitter. So I'm just gonna put that on the top half. Now, normally you guys know that I'm like a crazy person when it comes to marking off, like taping off my lines and getting those clean, crisp lines. This one, I knew it wasn't going to matter. I just kind of put it on there without taping anything off because I knew I was going to cover it with vinyl anyways. So I just made sure to tap away any of the fallout glitters from the top that showed in the bottom. And then we're going to set that on the drying rack after we put down all of our glitter and smooth it down with our printer paper. And it's going to sit for at least a couple of hours to dry, depending on the epoxy that you're using. And once that is dry, we're going to go over it with 2 coats of Flynn Sisters regular setting epoxy. Now, because we're using semi-transparent vinyl, I've told you guys this before, it is absolutely crucial that you are not putting this vinyl on a sanded epoxy base, because when it's sanded and you put the vinyl over top of it, obviously that next layer of epoxy is not going to be able to get underneath that vinyl to shine up the surface. So you're always going to have that dull, dingy, scratched up surface underneath your vinyl. So just be conscious of that. We're going to use the hinge method to lay this down, making sure that it lines up completely straight at the seams. And then once it does, we're going to press the backing off of the vinyl while we press the vinyl onto the tumbler with the squeegee. Once the seams meet up, I'm going to make sure to score the seam line so we get a nice, clean, crisp line. You can use a nail, you can use a squeegee corner, whatever you want to use. We're going to slice that with our X-Acto knife, pull off any excess, and then we're going to go straight into our vinyl work. Now, I said this the last tutorial. Normally, I would put a coat of epoxy between my printable vinyl and my vinyl striping. However, I'm going to be layering the vinyl stripes with multiple layers of vinyl. So you will see when I lay down this first purple stripe on the top half of the tumbler that you can see the seam from the printed vinyl in the background of the purple striped vinyl. But because I'm putting 2 more stripes of vinyl over top of it, it's going to cover that seam. So if you are using, you know, some sort of like a holographic or a metallic or something like that, if you're just doing the one stripe, just make sure you're putting a coat of epoxy between your printed vinyl and your vinyl stripe. If not, if you're doing multiple layers, you can definitely hide the seams. No big deal. You can just go straight into your vinyl work. So you're gonna go ahead and put down a vinyl stripe at 0.10 by 11.5 inches. And I just keep a bunch of vinyl stripes on hand. You'll see up to the left-hand side of my screen, I have a whole bag of vinyl stripes in all different sizes, colors. Way easier to just keep a bunch on hand rather than having to cut them each time you're doing a design. So this next one is going to be a 0.08 inches by 11.5 inches wide. And then my third stripe, which is going to be the white pearlescent, is going to be 0.05 by 11.5 inches wide. And you'll notice that I did put this decal on here. I ended up taking it off and I removed it very carefully so I could reuse it. I didn't want to rip anything. I just wasn't happy with it. It's still to this day, I'm not like completely thrilled with this tumbler. I think I'm going to go back in and I think I'm going to add like little stars or something to the top half of this. Like the back of it just kind of seems plain. So I'm still toying with ideas. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think it definitely needs a little bit of something added to the backside. So I just left that open. But I wanted to show you guys that the process doesn't always work out. And sometimes I put things on the tumbler and I don't like it. So if that happens to you, it's completely normal. Don't feel bad about it. Second guessing yourself is probably pretty normal, at least for me it is. So we're just going to finish up striping this top and bottom half, and then we're going to go into our epoxy and decals. I did go in and I cut a circle for the bottom of my tumbler. This is from, normally I use the Tipsy Magnolia, but this one's from the stainless steel depot that I had on hand, and it has some writing at the bottom and I didn't spray paint over it. It was white prepped already. So I went in, I didn't want that writing to show, and it still ended up showing through a little bit. So I would definitely recommend spraying the bottom if you're using a prepped tumbler from them. It's kind of obnoxious. I definitely prefer Tipsy, but I had this one on hand that had to be used. So I just covered that up, and then I went in and this is a second decal that I cut. So the first one I had was with that extra decal, like the printed decal at top, and then I put Boo underneath it, and I just still didn't love it. So I took that off. I recut this in purple for the offset that was at 0.53 inches, and then the white pearlescent matched the white pearlescent on the stripe to tie that in, and I cut the decal at 4 inches wide. The word spooky for this decal is created using the font called Frankie. It's from dafont.com. That's DAFONT.com. And then I can't remember what season is. I will link that for you guys, or I'll just add the text to this video after the voiceover. But I did create that myself at 4 inches wide, and then I just put that on the tumbler. Now, I hate measuring things. I've told you guys that before. So what I do, this is my lazy girl hack, I just stick a piece of painter's tape at top to make sure everything is lined up, and then as I'm laying the decal down, I'm going to pull that tape off as well as the transfer tape. and press everything down flat, and we should have a straight decal. So if you hate measuring like myself, I would definitely recommend that hack. So next we're gonna go in with this polyacrylic. I will link this for you guys in the description as well. This is what I use to seal my vinyl stripes, especially metallic or holographic. I just put it over top of the printable vinyl as well, just to make sure no epoxy repelled from that. And I put it over top of my decal on top. We're just gonna let that spin until it's dry to the touch. It's usually like 20 to 30 minutes for me. I guess that's gonna depend on your climate, how hot it is in your house. The warmer the weather, the quicker it does seal. And then once that is dry to the touch, I went in with 30 milliliters of Flynn Sisters regular setting epoxy. This only needed one final coat. Now, obviously, like I said, I'm gonna go back and add something to the top half of this. It's probably gonna be those like cute stars that you see everywhere now. But it's just gonna take another coat of epoxy. So this only has 3 coats on it in total, 4 once I go back and add that extra one, but it is smooth to the touch now. So make sure you pop any micro bubbles, especially if you're using holographic vinyls. You don't want that to show through on the holographic. It's very noticeable. So after that cures, this cup is completely finished. It's just a quick and easy holiday tumbler if you want to make one for yourself, or you know, make use of some vinyl that you've had in your vinyl storage for 2 years like me. So I hope you guys loved it, and I will see you guys in the next video.